Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host on the show today. And today I have Jose Canales, founder and CEO of Canales Co, as my guest. We're going to be learning about his business, his journey to business ownership, best practices that he's learned along the way, as well as maybe some challenges that he's faced to give you that inside look to what it's like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notified when we drop episodes like this. Welcome, Jose. It's so great to meet you. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, great to meet you, Kay. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, before we dive into all things business, I'd love to learn about you. Can you share a bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm a born and raised here in Austin. Stayed here for most part. Went to school out in West Texas, Abilene Christian, and then came back here. I'm a creative. I'm a designer, an artist. I was a fine art major. Had a career in advertising for 10 years before I left that and started my own business. And we have a design studio that I actually run and operate with my wife. We've got two kids. I got a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old. So we are a true family business. Our business is on our property in the backyard. So yeah, it's running a business and running a family at the same time.
Well, I love to hear that. I'm super excited to learn more about it. And that's so cool that you got the whole family involved. What a great way to, bring a business into the world and a family.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive in. Tell me a little bit about what brought on the starting your business? How did that come about? What was like your aha moment?
Well, I think I always just had a passion for design and art. And, for a long time, I was able to scratch that itch in advertising and doing that through the clients that I was able to work on at various different agencies. But I also just always had a hunger to, chase my own things that I wanted to do. And so for a long time, I just kind of did it on the side, like freelance stuff on the side, really chased package design and really things that were tactile that you could hold in your hand. And then over time, I think I got burnt out of being at an ad agency, and I just decided to pursue the thing that made me happiest full time. And I think the 1 year maybe I had a decent amount of success just working doing that nights and weekends. And so I was like, man, if I did this like 40 hours a week, I think I replace my salary at my job. And so the bar was pretty low, granted. At the time I was pretty young still. And so yeah, I kind of just went for it and really just chased the thing that I really loved doing on my own, which was at the time package design. And I had really no visions for starting a company. I just wanted to do what I love doing, and I wanted to spend more time with my daughter who was just born. And that's kind of how it all started. And then we kind of grew from there. So yeah.
Well, I love that story. First of all, I have to tell you, I actually have a background in graphic design, so this really
Okay.
resonates with me. Yes, I was in design for many, many years and still use graphic design in a lot I do. So that is so cool. I love to hear a fellow designer who, went for it and created something that is theirs. But yeah, so I guess my next question would be, how was that experience, when you made the choice to leave, a position and start your journey in entrepreneurship or start that path? Was that intimidating? Was it exciting? A
Oh,
little
sure. Sure.
bit.
It was actually really terrifying. But I just had this really strong conviction that it was what I was supposed to do, and it was the time that I was supposed to do it. At the time I had been leading some big accounts at the agency that I was at. And one of the accounts that I was leading was Yeti coolers at the time. And this is when they were first starting up. Um, and I decided to quit, and that was the hardest thing I ever did because I had no clients. And that is one of the scary. I worked at a really reputable advertising agency, working on great accounts. Like anybody would love to work at that place. Um, But for me, I was ready for something new, but I had nothing there to support me. And so it was really just taking a risk and a gamble on yourself. And while that was like the scariest thing that you could do, I did it. And in fact, I remember once I quit, Roy Cedars, the founder of Yeti, had called me when he found out that I had quit. And he was like, "Hey, I heard that you're doing your own thing. That's great. Like, why don't you come work for us?" And I was like, "Man, that's so awesome. And it's such a great opportunity. But like the hardest thing I ever did was quit this amazing job that I had to go do my own thing with nothing there, promising me anything. And that was like the scariest thing I ever did. And I just did it. And so now that I did it, I feel like this overwhelming sense of freedom. Like I accomplished something when really I had accomplished nothing yet, but it still had done the scariest thing. Was that part was over. And so I told him, I was like, I really do want, I appreciate that offer, but I'm going to fail at this first. And then when I do fail at this, you're going to be the first person I call for a job. So uh, we didn't fail. We kept going and we made it, and we're still here 11 years later.
That's incredible. When it is kind of nice to almost have that, it's like even the idea of the safety net as a it kind of gives you less fear then too. It takes away some of that fear because you're like, I can try this. I can give it a shot. And I think that's really cool because it's like sometimes when we don't try and we have that calling, we almost regret it more than if we do and we
Totally.
fail at it.
Totally. And being on the other side of it now as a business owner, you realize that that whole idea of a safety net is really just an idea. It's a mirage. It really isn't a safety net. I've been around long enough now where you saw peers and coworkers, get laid off. You see the economy turn, and you lose that safety net just like that. And you thought it was something secure. Even on the other side of it as an employer now, I remember going through COVID. And there were times where, I knew our team was like kind of just coasting through and showing up for work. But I was like, man, if you guys knew what I knew, you wouldn't feel like this was such a safety net. Unfortunately, we never have had to have layoffs before, but there were definitely times that I was like, man, now that I know what I know, like being an employee there's no safety to it.
Yeah, that's so true. That is like a golden nugget of this conversation already is just, we have to sometimes take that autonomy up on ourselves and as entrepreneurs, that's what we do. And I'm excited to kind of like dive in deeper with your business. And you said so 11 years now you've been in business.
Yeah, that's right. We started in April of 2014, so we just celebrated 11 years.
Congratulations. That's incredible. Now, I'd love to learn about your team. How many team members you currently have and like what's that look like?
Yeah, so we have 9 full-time team members and another part-timer. Um, our team consists of myself, who's the leader and CEO, and still creative director at this point. And we have a team of 3 designers on the brand side. And then my wife leads another section of our business for interior design. And so there's 2 designers on that side of the business. And then we have a project manager, and we have a digital director, and then we have a program director that kind of oversees all the operations. And then there's another procurement person that helps out on the interior side for purchasing and buying and installs on the interiors.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this is super cool. So you have both a more like a digital design branding, and then you have the interior design too. Is your
Yeah.
wife, is her background in interiors, or how did y'all kind of come up with that? That's super fun.
She always had a passion and interest for it, and she considered getting her degree in interior design in college, but was kind of, I don't know if she didn't like the program or she had reservations about it and decided not to. And so it was something that she ended up just picking up on her own after college. And it started out with residential, helping out friends, and then with us on the brand side, having so many brand clients. Eventually, we started doing more clients that actually had spaces, whether they're restaurants and bars or multifamily developments, where there was a need for the environmental design aspect of it. And so our team on the brand side would come in and with murals or lots of wayfinding packages that we would design. But then when it came into like furniture and, you know, hard finishes and just what's the overall vibe of everything, the finish out, that's where Christina, my wife, started to come in and help out. And that turned into like a really cool collaboration. And we started growing that side and that team. And so now we're doing more and more hospitality, multifamily developments, bars, restaurants, you know, commercial interiors. And she still has her own high-end residential interior design as well that only her team will work on. Rarely the brand side will get involved. Sometimes it might be, you know, a family that has this really awesome home that they want design, and they also want like a family, like a brand for the family, you know, like a recent client, they were doing a gymnasium. They built a whole gymnasium in their backyard. And so we designed like a logo for the family that was like on the gym floor and goes on the towels and locker room and stuff like that. So occasionally there's like some overlap there with the residential, but mostly it's an overlap on the hospitality and on the commercial side.
Oh yeah, that makes sense, especially when you think about like a bar or restaurant and the kind of types of designs that they'll need and menus and all the things. And then the interior space. That's really, really cool. So you're building out a team or you built a team. Are you looking to, like, what would you say in the next 3 to 5 years, your plans for the business? Are you looking to grow, stay the same?
Well, we're always looking to grow revenue. That's you know, a goal. So more and more projects. My not necessarily grow the headcount. That's not really a goal of mine. We are outgrowing the office that we built 8 years ago in our own backyard, and so now we bought a new office building. Well, we bought a property like 2 blocks over, and are tearing that place down and rebuilding a new office there that will accommodate a bigger team. And so maybe we'll fill that out. I think 18 people would be the max there. But that's not really my goal to grow the headcount to that much. I mean, we'll grow the headcount to what it needs to be to maximize revenue, but I think there's a lot of meat on the bone with this team. So
Mm. Yeah, that sounds really cool too to hear that. Now, if I were to say, you mentioned a little bit about the clientele that you work with. So, if I were to say, walk through your doors or check you out online, how would I know I'd be an ideal client for you?
yeah, so um, well, I think first of all, like clients that are really attracted to us are clients that may be looking for somebody to make them look special, make them feel special in the way that they're conveying their brand or their space. So those are generally clients that have one, good taste, and two, value design. Like they can appreciate design, they value it, they want that for themselves. What makes us special, I think, is that, you know, first of all, we're a design studio with top tier design talent, but also our ability to get to know a client and their space or their brand, and then discern what actually makes that space or that brand special, and then bring that to life in a tangible way through design. And so we're able to capture their spirit in a tangible way, whether that's for their branding, package design, digital properties, or, you know, spaces, you know, in actual physical space. We just finished a restaurant in Chicago called Nick and Junior's that opens this week, and that was a true collaboration where the brand came together. We did the branding for it, and then our interiors team did all the finish out of the restaurant. And, you know, so these disciplines really came together full circle, all in one space. Those would be ideal clients that would really like have that value. And, you know, typically what they would have to do, what a client like that would have to do, is hire a branding firm to do their branding, and then hire an interior design firm to design their interiors. And so that's where we're a little different than, you know, most of the other studios, is that we have all of that under one roof at one company. And so when we're in a project like that, our branding team and our interiors team is often in the same room. They're seeing how this stuff is starting from, you know, from the beginning and getting the inspiration. We're all getting on the same page at a very early stage. I mean, even just tactical things like scheduling meetings between those teams. if you had to hire two different companies to do that for you, it's like a lot of times you can't coordinate between two different companies to be on the same meeting at the same time. So just having all of those people that are involved in the project under one roof at the same table creates a really cohesive story and brand storytelling experience. And it's just easier on our clients too.
Definitely. I think that's like having kind of a one-stop shop for multiple design needs can be really great, especially now with so many new businesses focusing on brand and they're focusing on their brick and mortar space, the interior, how their customers feel inside. So yeah, that's incredible. Well, now I'd like to dive in to share a little transparent moment because we love to help other entrepreneurs that are listening to this. So we love to share challenges and how brands are working through challenges. So if you wouldn't mind sharing, what is something that you're currently challenged with within your business that you're looking to overcome?
This year, I would say, well, really over the last 18 months, I would say our business has grown a lot. Um, and that has been a challenge because, a small team experiencing a lot of growth, adding headcount to a team, just there's a lot of challenges with that. One, there's like an HR component, onboarding and bringing people on. And as a small business owner, like nobody's trained in HR, nobody is trained in onboarding. Like, so these are all extras that you're having to like pick up along the way for hiring, and establishing policies, establishing a strong company culture that when people are coming on board, they know what this company is about, they know what is expected of them. They know kind of how to operate a standard operating procedures. As a small business and a small company, these are usually the last things on your mind. You're just like adding people to, put out fires and fill a need. But as you grow faster and add more people, that it's like you have to have this stuff figured out. Balancing a company culture, conveying a company culture, these are all things that can get more and more challenging the faster and more that you grow, or not having a true sense of who you are as a company can really, your company could turn into whatever if you don't have a strong sense of identity in how you're leading that company. Like all these new people that you bring on could really influence the character or the direction of the company if they're not, you know, educated or informed. I'm like, no, this is the company culture. This is what we believe in. This is who we are. Do you believe in this? Because if you do, then you're a great fit. And so really having all that, in a fast growing stage like right now that we are, that's been a challenge, to keep us on our toes and make sure all that's really dialed in and conveyed in a way, communicated in a way that's easy to understand. Because a lot of times you just don't have time to do that. That's like another job on top of your other stuff that you're supposed to be doing every day. So that's been a challenge, but I think our team has done really well to, come together and help inform a lot of these things, like our core values um, and just how we want to build a culture around this team that we're growing.
Definitely. You touched on quite a few things there that make so much sense, especially for a growing company. Is like you want to keep that identity, not let it get lost in the sauce when you're growing. So what are some of the things that you're currently doing to help with mitigating some of those challenges?
Well, I think like today we just got back from a lunch, celebrating a new hire and also another employee's birthday. These are rituals, company rituals that we do anytime there's a celebration at the company. Usually it's an anniversary or a work anniversary or a birthday. We take that person out to lunch. Quarterly, we try to do company happy hours. In the summer, we do boat Fridays. We try to as much as we can if we've got the bandwidth for it, to get out on the lake and celebrate as a company. And these are the kinds of things that really build rapport among team members and as a company culture, and build that humanity, because so much of what you do at work is showing up for the people that you work with. And if you don't have that, especially in a culture today where a lot of it is work from home culture or it's Zoom meetings all the time, you really lose out on that sense of humanity that 10 years ago was really, really strong in workplaces. And so we're really trying to, make sure we keep that in celebrating our people as much as we can, and building team through those things, and through that, we're living out our core values. And then when you play hard, like they say, you also show up to work hard. And so we really hope that's true for our team as well.
Definitely. I agree with that. Now, how has that been? I know as an owner, that's a lot of responsibility. How has that impacted your time? Just like built, like focusing on the culture, focusing on your team. Has that impacted your time in any way?
It has. I mean, I've had to move more of my job to those types of activities. So I don't really do design anymore. And even the creative director responsibilities, I'm starting to pass off to some of our more senior creatives. And so really my job has now become more of like steering a ship, rather than actually being in the business and working as a designer the way that I started this business. So my job has changed a lot since I started this company, where really I'm just now running a company, and being more high level, being more vision minded. Where are we wanting to be? Where are we wanting to go? How are we going to have to, really thinking like that. And you have to be able to free yourself up from the daily grind in order to think like that. Because if you're in it, you really aren't available to think like that. You don't have the bandwidth. So freeing me up, delegating a lot of those old responsibilities that I had, elevating others to take on those responsibilities, and then elevating myself to think bigger about the business, be more, kind of plan forward and vision oriented. And so that's become more of my job. That really is my job now.
Mhm. Definitely. Well, I can understand that shift for sure, especially just like learning to delegate and trusting the team
Yeah.
to carry some of those design choices moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's freeing. I mean, it's freeing in a lot of ways, to feel like you can operate at that level. But it's a whole nother, it is another uh basket of stresses and other things that you worry about too. So
Definitely. Well, thank you for sharing about those challenges. And, again, those are the golden nuggets that we're looking for on the show, because that's like how many entrepreneurs right now are going through that similar, growing pains, or, having to switch into a different role in the company that you've started. So thank you for sharing those insights.
yeah, of course.
Now I'd love to go into a really fun part of the Q&A, which I call our rapid fire, where I ask you four questions and you answer with like a very top of mind first thing that comes to mind.
All right, shoot, let's do it.
All right. Question number one is, what is a key to success for you?
For me, I think it's visioning. It's where do I want to be in 5 to 10 years, and having that goal, and then being able to backtrack from that, work backwards. Like if I want to be here, then what do I need to do to get here, and what I need to do to get here, and then writing it down. If I can write it down, if I can have that vision, then it becomes a level of accountability for myself and for my team to actually get there.
Oh, that's really great. I love that thought. I'm going to take that one down for myself. That's a great thought. The second question is, what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Ooh, piece of advice. Um, Always make sure there's enough cash in the bank. That's always helped us, to not be able, to not have to go into debt and borrow, but to always just kind of organically grow and build out a a reserve pipeline to pull from, and always have that kind of safety net. I always keep like 6 months of payroll saved up, and that keeps us from feeling squeezed or stressed, and allows us to plan for the future. I mean,
Mm,
there's so many things I could say, but yeah, that's a big one that can alleviate a lot of peace of mind.
100%. And number three is, it could be a book, a podcast, an article, anything that you've taken in most recently.
Right now, I'm reading a book called "The Steady Leader" by a guy named Skylar Williamson, and he's a military vet, and he has got a lot of strategies on leadership. Uh, for him, leading through chaos and just leading platoons. And he translates that a lot to the business world and what that can do, how that can help you. That mindset can help you in the corporate battlefield. And so that's been
Mm,
really helpful.
that is a great book. I wrote that down because that sounds like something I need in my life too. And the final question is, if you could wave a magic wand and overnight improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Oh man. Magic wand. Maybe awareness. I feel like we are so busy just working on um our clients' work that we actually do a terrible job of like promoting ourselves, of really like showing off our work. Like I feel like our website is always the last thing um to get attention. We don't do a very good job. It's what's kind of ironic because that's what we do. It's like we promise to build our clients' businesses and grow it and grow their awareness. And we do that for them so much and kind of keep our heads down doing that we like it feels like sometimes we don't have time to do it for ourselves. So that's probably one thing I would change is like, have our awareness be much more pronounced and invest in that. But yeah, I don't have a
That's such
magic wand.
That is such a great answer. Well, I might have a magic wand for you here in a bit, but that is such a great answer because it reminds me of like, when you think of a chef who goes home and like grabs a burger
Yeah,
on the way. You're
right.
like,
Totally.
you're not alone. Awesome. Well, thank you for answering the rapid fires. Before we get to the final question of the day, well, let's start now, helping you market. How can folks get in touch with your business online?
Well, our website's canalesco.com. So you can check out all of our work on our website. And our Instagram is Canales and Co. And then on our interiors site, it's Canales and Co. Interiors. So we've got a few different feeds. You can follow us there. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for sharing that. For our last question of the day, what is most inspiring to you today?
Oh man, most inspiring to me is my family. Seeing, I mentioned my wife is growing the interior side of our business and seeing her turn into this awesome, confident, creative woman has been, it's like she's blossomed into a totally different person in this regard, and that's been really awesome to see, and it's super inspiring to me. Seeing my kids turn into the humans that we're trying so hard to discipline them to be, like I see them grow every day, and it's so encouraging to see them like turn over new little leaves and grow. And also seeing our creative team find success and hatch their ideas into real brands and places, and watching those around me develop and grow and succeed, and really just having the opportunity to see that, having seen them, you know, at an earlier stage in life or before when they just started, and just seeing that type of growth happen like right before my eyes is so inspiring.
I love that. That's so cool to hear, especially seeing like, yeah, the growth on all sides, the family and the team. That's amazing. Well, thank you for sharing. Jose, this has been such a fun conversation. Thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Kay. It was great.